The answer likely won't surprise you. What's up, guys? I'm here, and here we are to do a nice little breakdown and discussion on just how important, narratively, is Toji Fushiguro. Like, if we were to hypothetically give him a certain narrative weight, how heavy is he? How thick? How girthy? How juicy is that fickle deadbeat dad of a boy? You know, we got a lot to talk about. You know we ain't got too much time, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact to jump into: have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact: Toji Fushiguro is pretty inarguably, if not top 5 at a bare minimum, top 10 most important characters in the series. And you can pretty solidly make an argument for top 5, I'd say. Mainly because, in spite of his very, and I mean very minimal screen time, I'm talking like, if you were to compile all of a living, breathing, fully sentient Toji's on-screen, on-panel appearances, it probably comes to less than 5 chapters. Probably comes less to like, maybe even less than... No, I think 5 is appropriate in terms of how much screen time he has. His weight is like undeniable. He's responsible for a lot, despite being irresponsible about his kids. Because think about it. When I talk about narrative weight, I typically mean how much impact does a character have on a story? How much more difficult would it be to tell the story? Or how much less possible does it become to tell a story if you remove a character? Of course, there are many different examples of this across all different types of fiction, but specifically in anime and manga, there's typically, especially with ensemble casts to the scale of JJK, or heaven forbid even larger, a large number of characters who either after a certain point, or maybe before a certain point, or somewhere in between, you can kind of just remove them. Or maybe they didn't even need to be there in the first place. My Hero Academia suffers from this problem. I'd say even aspects of Black Clover suffer from this problem. Heck, even Big Bad Crazy Dragon Ball, especially in its recent years, suffers heavily from this problem. But JJK is a very tightly written series. So of course, a lot of characters kind of need to be there. But obviously, we'll get to other characters in this little series in terms of their narrative weight. We'll talk about whether or not they need to be there. But Toji Fushiguro in particular is very heavy. And he's very dense because he's essentially the nexus point of the series. Now, admittedly, he's not the most important character in JJK. Off the top of my head, there are at least 5, maybe 4. I'd say 4 solid. 5 maybe other characters who are more important. Obviously, Gojo Satoru, but we're going to talk about him and his relationship to Toji and how that relationship ends up affecting the narrative. Obviously, Tengen is really, really important, considering they're the reason the world is the way it is. Kenjaku is basically the in-series author of JJK, so they have to be more important. Yuji Tadori is our main character, so of course he's going to be the most important. You can't have the story without him. And Big Jock, who's very, very important. So there's 5, but once again, we can make arguments, in argument's sake, because of what Toji does. Obviously, the biggest thing and the most obvious thing that Toji does is awaken Satoru Gojo. That's the heaviest thing. That's the thing that most people would think of when talking about Toji Fushiguro's general narrative impact. You cannot have the story of Jujutsu Kaisen as we know it if Gojo did not take that out. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that it's unlikely. I'm not even saying that it is a 0% chance. But what I am saying is that Gojo likely wouldn't have awakened. Pretty much ever. He had been studying RCT for years. This was a super crazy next level prodigy. The reason he became the strongest is because Toji Fushiguro pushed him to his limits. And it's well established at the time that Toji Fushiguro would be the only character who could ever have pushed a teen Gojo to his limits. And here's the thing. If you push back Gojo's awakening at all, problems happen. Like, Geto may not turn because he'd still have the connection with Gojo and they'd be much more interconnected. That means no Geto. No Geto means no Yuta. No Yuta means no domino effect. You know what I'm talking about? And the same thing ends up happening with the loss of Riko Amanai at Toji Fushiguro's hands. Think about it. If Toji is not there, if you were to remove him from the series, and we don't have Riko get one way or another, there's gonna be some issues. Either Tengen properly does assimilate Riko before Riko can skedaddle up out of there with Geto and bada bing, bada boom. Or, even if not that, then Riko's still alive. Meaning Gojo and Geto very likely become rebels to Jujutsu Society in one way, shape, or form. Meaning they fall out of tune with Jujutsu Society. Meaning that a lot of the aspects of Jujutsu Society as we know it, such as Yuji Todori, Megumi Fushiguro, even Obara Kugasaki, other characters who sort of benefit from Gojo being a massive part of Jujutsu Society cannot exist if Riko's still alive. Or if Riko merges with Tengen, because once again the merger plan changes. And once again, that's all on Toji. Speaking of Toji and his massive narrative implications, Geto would not be Geto without Toji, in terms of JJK0 Geto. We know that basically everything, every last drop, every last bit, every last crumb of Geto's pure, unadulterated, raw hatred for those filthy monkeys who can't even use Jujutsu comes from Toji. Like, he stole the phrase and word monkey from Toji. Like, literally, Toji called him that once. And he was talking to himself. And Geto literally made it his whole personality immediately after the fact. And without that, once again, no Geto means no Rika awakening, means no Yuta awakening, means no Yuta. And then imagine the series without Yuta. You know, the original main character for JJK0. Yeah, that doesn't work out all too well. We wouldn't even have an antagonist, most likely. You could argue Geto would break, but I don't think he'd break as much or as quickly without Toji. So Toji makes the original series, or at least the prequel series, antagonist through creating Geto in the way that we know Geto. And he's also responsible for making Satoru Gojo the main linchpin of the entire main series, as strong as he is, through forcing him to awaken. So those are the two big things. Our main villain and our main kind of hinge point for season 1. But not even season 1, like literally the whole plot right now. Like, look at the whole reason the entire Killing Games went the way that it did was because Gojo Satoru got sealed away because Gojo Satoru was too strong, and he wouldn't have been either of those things if it wasn't for Toji Fushiguro. So in terms of narrative weight, he's hefty with it. Another thing he's really hefty with, think about it. If there's no Toji, then there's no Megumi. Now, I don't think I need to tell you how the series progresses without Megumi. Well, there's definitely a whole bunch of debate on whether or not he's a good character, whether or not he's a character who should be saved, whether there's a bunch of debate about all of those aspects of the characters. He's necessary. If there's no Megumi, there's no Sukuna. At least not as we know him in the current narrative. And we kind of need Sukuna as we know him in the current narrative. Because without that, guess what? Very, very, very unlikely that a certain individual, manages to get an individual body. A.k.a. Sukuna doesn't get a body. A.k.a. Sukuna doesn't ever get to be free, and Gojo Satoru is still alive. Once again, this is all under the assumption that everything somehow goes the same. Even though Gojo wouldn't even be awakened in this timeline, it's very likely that characters as we know them would not exist. Like, think about it. The ramifications, the weight. And here's the thing, right? We're talking on, like, a macro scale, just removing Toji from the series entirely. Even if you remove him later, like, his resurrection during Shibuya, if you remove him, things also still get bad. Because guess what? If he did not show up, piece up Dagon, and then drag Megumi away from Jogoat, plot may not occur. Jogoat may just one-shot low-diff Megumi, and then there's no Raga. And if there's no Raga, then there's no Sukuna knowing that Raga's a bit... Well, actually, no. If I'm thinking about it even crazier, realistically, either Raga gets summoned on Jogo, and then Jogo gets one-tapped, and there's no Sukuna to come stop Raga, and then Megumi perishes, or Jogo one-shots Megumi, and there's no Raga period, and then Jogo goes to awaken Sukuna, and Megumi's killed anyway. So, like, no matter what, Megumi ends up getting lost if Toji isn't there to save him. Drag him away as if he isn't there to end the battle at Dagon. Toji's super duper necessary. And admittedly, this one's a pretty hefty stretch. I'll say this. This one's a pretty hefty stretch. But like I said, I've already kind of proved that the series can't function as we know it without Toji at least somewhat existing. Like, you need to have him there. And he needs to play a very similar role. Because if he doesn't play a certain role, then once again the series breaks. But he's actually pretty integral to Maki's own self-understanding because he's the only reference point that she has. Like, Daido comes somewhat close, but notably, Daido isn't like Maki. He still has slivers of curse energy, just not enough to use it. Mio helped Maki, but once again, wouldn't have really been able to help Maki understand herself so much if she didn't have the reference point that is Toji. And if there's no reference point, then I don't think it's gonna go too well, because Maki's actually pretty integral. Shock horror. She's the reason Sukuna's heartless. And missing one of his arms and is currently huffing and puffing, trying to restart and rebeat and re-heal his heart, which she can't do because of the soul damage that Maki did. And Maki got a direct awakening through her connections and revelations and links to Toji. And of course, Toji is very, very, very integral to fate itself, which is crazy to think about. And it's why I'm almost tempted to like put him up there, but Tengen's really, really important. Like, despite once again being a character with super duper minimal screen time, Tengen is also really, really important because they facilitate the world as we know it. But once again, Toji is, as described by Tengen, the beast that broke fate. Like, destiny was meant to go a very particular direction. And then Toji was like, but the bag though. And then proceeded to not let destiny go in that very particular direction. The whole plot line for the merger as we know it cannot happen without Toji slaughtering Rico and then Tengen evolving. We don't know how Kenny would have started the merger beforehand, admittedly. Once again, we don't know. Apparently he did try twice, so he did have merger ideas in mind before. But very particularly, he apparently needed Geto's body, which wouldn't have been vacant if a certain sorcerer wasn't freed from his curse and then slaughtered Geto, or at least softened up Geto for Gojo to come slaughter him and then dispose the body poorly. And or, you know, this like wouldn't be a Gojo to worry about. At least not in the way that we know him. So Toji, he's just crazy. Like, he's so deeply woven, and like his kid is so deeply woven into the series that you need him there, and you need him to act in the way he does. Notably, there are some characters who, as long as they're there, no matter how they act, their being there is enough. Like, you just have the character there. Like, Gojo can be whatever kind of character he is. As long as he's in that box, the series can kind of operate normally for at least the middle chunk of it. Like, from mid-Shibuya, post-Gojo sealing to Gojo unsealing, the series can kind of just go whatever way it wants. Gojo's important, but still, he's sealed away for majority of that time. Toji needs to act the exact way he does when he does. He needs to be a deadbeat dad. If he isn't, Megumi is completely different as a character and doesn't get adopted by Gojo. No Megumi, no Itadori, no Sukuna, no plot. So once again, Toji needs to be a deadbeat dad. He needs to be as disrespectful to himself and to Geto and Gojo as he was. If he wasn't that disrespectful, he wasn't that dangerous, wasn't that devious, if he didn't take that job that day, if he was feeling a little bit cheap, or didn't want to get his funny up, wanted to get his funny up, not his money up that day, and he let Gojo and Geto kind of wild out, then guess what? Well, yeah, he needs to be money hungry, he needs to be a deadbeat dad, he needs to be all that. Heck, if Toji doesn't tell Gojo about Megumi and tell Gojo to go do something about it, then Megumi gets adopted by the Zenin clan and is a fundamentally different character. Like, legitimately, he's a completely different beast that would not operate in the same way that he does, and may not even be associated with Jujutsu High because he'd be raised exclusively by the Zenin clan. And then that causes problems. Toji is a character so deeply interwoven into the narrative in such a particular way that if you change the slightest thing about him, or the largest thing about him when it comes to his existence, the plot shatters. JJK is heavily woven through this deadbeat dad, which is crazy to think about. The fact that he's so well integrated that despite being in the manga for a fraction of our main character, our deuteragonist, our female lead, other certain characters who are arguably less important than him. Like, think about it. I think it's pretty confident to say that, like, Miwa may get more screen. Okay, no, not Miwa. But, like, Kashimo gets more screen time. It is infinitely less important. Still, he's important in his own right. We'll talk about Kashimo in another How Important Is He video. But with that being the case, Toji, he does so much for the series as we know it, for characters in the series as we know it, through his literal flesh and blood in his own son, and the entire way the series is born and the way the series is able to operate right now. And it's all Toji's fault. And fault in a good way in some cases. Of course, we would not have the current narrative of Yuji Todori tweaking off numerous black flashes, Yudo Coats with the domain expansion, Maki's at an awakening and understanding herself better. We wouldn't have so many things without Toji that ultimately, I think him being a deadbeat kind of balances out, you know? You gotta not have him be a bad dad. Because if he's a good dad, then things get worse. Kind of. Once again, you can argue that Toji does a lot of negative facilitation. Yeah. Like, it depends on who you want to sack. Like, you remove Toji, and you may not get Yuji and Yuta. But at the same time, you don't get Yuji and Yuta, you don't really get, Zart and Roman Sukuna. And then we don't have a threat, really. And if Toji's still around and Kenjaku doesn't get a particular body, then it still may not work out all too much. So, like, there's still issues. No matter what, there's still issues. And I think that's good. Notably, I bring this up about Toji and how important he is and how integral he is in spite of his screen time, especially real life, sentient, living, breathing screen time, because I think that's an incredible feat of writing. To deeply intertwine a character so much that you cannot remove them or even alter the events that undergo based on their character and their character motivations is amazing. It is a feat of writing, and I have to give respect to Geto Usami for it every single time. It's hard to do. We see him struggle with it in other cases. So Toji Fushiguro is very, very important. On a general scale, if I had to do like a tier list of how important certain characters are, Toji would have to be an S tier. Top 5, at worst top 6, you can't tell the story without him. And it's crazy considering how much of the story is literally told without him. But ultimately, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave Worm Guy. Leave Worm Guy in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a picture below where you can support me for as low as $1 down month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You'll also become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 Patreon, $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below if you want to leave a one-time donation for your boy, or if you want to leave 25 beans for your boy for a nice little video request, one time only. The link will be in the description down below. But now, just thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Kleiner Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, G Prosper, Paris Arnold, King Sukuna, and NMA. I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Steron, Sean, Owexian, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, John Malcolm, and Igneal Lynn. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another big old thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Joaquin Munoz, and Idemokami. And finally, I'd like to give a big, hefty gargantuan thank yous to our $25 patron, China Doll 09. And I'd like to give another gargantuan toe-curling slobba-nabba dabba-dabba thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.